Hello everyone, welcome to SplitSecond. My name is Sequeira and I'll be taking you through today's match. Before starting, we at SplitSecond want to thank everyone for your constant support and suggestions on all social media. You can continue to support us by sharing and liking this video, subscribing if you haven't yet, or by becoming a patron. We'd also like to remind you guys to try and support your local game store by buying MTG products there. Help keep your store alive. Finally, while the current global situation continues, we will be providing everyone with high-quality digital gameplay rather than paper magic. This week, we're bringing you an Icorium match with a special guest from the Commander Tavern. This underrated channel covers all sorts of EDH content from deck techs for medium to high-powered pods, gameplay, set reviews, and other EDH topics. Go and check DementedKirby's channel out. Our commanders are me with an Otrimi Gyruda build based off of Iglighl's 5C Gyruda. Our guest, DementedKirby, with the new food chain partners Ukkima and Cazur. David with his vision for the new constructed nightmare Lurrus. And finally, Baal with his own thoughts on Kalamax. Let's check our starting hands. Our guest is the one starting. DementedKirby has a pretty good hand with Iglighl's Vault ready to set him up to win with either Thassa's Oracle or Food Chain. He only has one land, Nurturing Peatland, and a Llanowar Elves for ramp. Chrome Mox could give Kirby his missing blue mana, but he needs to draw either a blue card or sacrifice his Oracle and go for the Food Chain plan. Deadly Relic is generally solid removal for partner decks. David was pretty unlucky, having had to mulligan down to 5 cards. He still gets a Swamp and a Windswept Heath, which could be good cards to use his top with in order to see more from his library. Urza's Bauble is a decent cantrip that Lurrus allows him to recast, and Lion's Eye Diamond is both a combo piece and recurable ramp. He sent Cabal Coffers and Phyrexian Altar to the bottom of his library. Baal had to mulligan once. He has 3 lands, Basic Island, Breeding Pool, and Verdant Catacombs, plus a Ceruli Caretaker and a Springleaf Drum, both of which acting like ramp and enabling him to tap Kalamax at will. Forks could mean a Kalamax with infinite power and toughness, while Mystical Tutor could either get Baal interaction or a combo piece like Court of Calling. I also mulliganed once and kept my second hand, even though I didn't get 0 mana costed ramp. City of Brass and Sculling Tarn can cover my colors, while Paradise Druid ramps me. Sig is a pretty nice mutate target for Otrimi. Demonic Tutor could get me a combo piece or mana if necessary. Nightmare Shepherd is excellent for a winning turn, while Gigantoplasm can be used as both utility or as a way to restart a Gyruda loop. Time to get this show going. DementedKirby starts by playing a Nurturing Peatland. He taps it, losing 1 life, and casts a Llanowar Elves. With this nice start, he passes the turn. David starts his turn with a Windswept Heath. He cracks it for a Scrubland and plays the Sensei's Divining Top. He follows it up with a Urza's Bauble, meaning he has the potential for a cantrip every turn with Lurrus. He passes. Baal plays a Taiga. He then casts a Ceruli Caretaker, which could become ramp should he find another creature next turn. With that, he lets me get to playing. Because of Gyruda's companion restrictions, my turn is simple. I play a Sculling Tarn and let DementedKirby get to his turn. Kirby plays an Emergence Zone, triggering a few alarms, but nothing special. He then casts a Chrome Mox, removing a recently drawn negate. Looking towards his lands, we're not sure whether he exiled the negate because he simply might be out of blue mana, going for an aggressive win, or just has too many counter spells available. Either way, he goes to his end step and David cracks his bubble, choosing me to reveal a card at random. I reveal a Demonic Tutor. On his upkeep, David draws from the bauble. He plays a Polluted Delta and cracks it. In response, I crack my fetch just in case and search for a Zagoth Triome. David then searches for an untapped Godless Shrine. He casts a Phyrexian Reclamation. He follows it up with a Lion's Eye Diamond. Only having 2 cards in hand, neither particularly important, David cracks the LED and adds 3 black mana, discarding a basic Swamp and Unburial Rites. He proceeds to cast his commander, Lurrus. He is then able to recast the Urza's Bauble from his graveyard before passing his turn. Baal plays a Springleaf Drum. He follows it up with a tapped Breeding Pool, letting me go to my turn. I play my own Polluted Delta. I crack it for a snow-covered island since my Demonic Tutor might get used to fetch for Earthcraft. I play a Paradise Druid and go to my end step. DementedKirby uses this opportunity to cast his Iglighl's Vault. He has to repeat the vault for an incredible 16 times before finally finding what he wants, potentially spelling doom to all of us. He shuffles, organizes his pile, and goes to his turn. Kirby plays a food chain, tapping his Llanowar elves. It resolves, and he exiles the elves to cast a Thassa's Oracle rather than a food chain outlet. We're surprised but see the untapped black mana, which he uses to respond to the Oracle's trigger and cast Demonic Consultation. DementedKirby names Almighty Brushwhack to keep the Ikoria theme and wins the game on turn 3. DementedKirby is our second guest to win a game with us, so props to him. However, this was a pretty short game, and we're all excited to show more of what our decks can do. Thus, it's time to shuffle up and start a new game. Baal is starting this time around. He has a pretty good hand comprised of Verdant Catacombs and Chrome Mox for ramp and a potential turn 1 Sylvan Library to set himself ahead. He also has Twin Cast in case he gets the chance to turn his commander into an infinite power and toughness Dino Boy, Talisman of Curiosity for added ramp, and Impulse for card select. Finally, Birthing Pod is able to find him a Ukkima Jiki by sacrificing Kalamax should he find himself an untapper. I was forced to mulligan down to 6. Zaggoth Triome, Waterlogged Cove, and Gaia's Cradle are my lands. I have Phantasmal Image ready to copy some value or ramp creature, whereas Force of Vigor remains online while I keep Abrupt Decay in my hand, both of which are great cards to interact. Deadeye Navigator was sent to the bottom of my library since he's much better reanimated by Gyruda than hardcast anyway. DementedKirby is keeping up with his silly hands. He has both Tainted Pact and Thassa's Oracle at the ready, although with barely no ramp to help him along. He has Ophidian Eye mostly to draw cards with Ukkima and Mana Drain for protection or to counter something annoying. Marsh Flats, Underground Sea, and Ancient Tomb are his lands, the latter providing some speed. David is giving us some flashbacks with his current hand and Urza's Bauble. He has 3 fetches as well, Flooded Strand, Marsh Flats, and Arid Mesa. Deafening Silence should help slow the table a bit, whereas land tax can help David with some card advantage. Vilis is mostly a reanimation target, although David suspects he can try to slip him into his graveyard without me trying to claim him for myself. Time for round 2. Baal off the bat plays a freshly drawn Spire Garden, following it up with a Chrome Mox. He exiles the Twin Cast for the Mox and casts a Sylvan Library. A bit alarmed with this start off the bat, I think for a bit but end up deciding to exile my Abrupt Decay and cast the Force of Vigor to destroy both ramp and library. Baal points out that Kirby's deck is miles off faster than his and that I could have waited to keep my interaction a little bit longer, or at least for the end of David's turn. I play a tapped Zaggoth Triome seeing as I can't cast anything right now anyway. I pass. DementedKirby's game seems slower than the last one. He plays a Marsh Flats and passes. Maybe this time around we'll get a fighting chance. For his turn, David plays a Flooded Strand and cracks it for a Scrubland like last game. He casts Urza's Bauble again, Deja Vu, and then casts his Deafening Silence, which could be important in cutting off the combo-centric decks from interacting during a combo. We ask him if he shuffled the deck properly as David passes. Baal plays a Verdant Catacombs and cracks it for a Tropical Island. He then proceeds to play a Talisman of Curiosity and lets me get to it. On my turn, I draw an unfortunate card. I play Waterlogged Grove and cast a Thassa's Oracle since I don't really want it in my hand right now. I look at the top 2 cards in my library, keep one, and send the other down before letting DementedKirby play. On my end step, he cracks his own fetch for a Zaggoth Triome. DementedKirby plays a Bloodstained Mire. He goes to his end step and David cracks the bauble targeting him. Kirby reveals a Thassa's Oracle, making David laugh with PTSD. On his upkeep, David draws from the bauble. He plays and cracks an Arid Mesa for a basic plains before playing a second stacks card, Blind Obedience, which could be pretty cool for the Kalamax player since his dinosaur now enters the battlefield tapped. He passes to Baal. This turn, Baal misses a land drop. Still, he manages to cast a Talisman of Creativity, which enters the battlefield tapped. He passes to me. On my turn, I go to combat immediately, attacking DementedKirby with my Oracle. Before damage, I swap it with an Ingenious Infiltrator, dealing 2 damage to Kirby and drawing a card from it. I play a Windswept Heath on my second main phase before going to my end step. Kirby uses this opportunity to crack his fetch for a Bayou. He then casts a Tainted Pact and we're all wondering if this will be a repeat of last game. His pact goes really deep. He ends up exiling both Eternal Scourge and Miss Hollow Griffin followed by Food Chain. However, because he has an opportunity to win the next turn, Kirby continues digging, stopping at 13 cards in his library. He did so mostly because he didn't want to risk going the full ham and counting on Oracle alone, since if there's interaction, he just flat out lose there. We all know he has Thassa's Oracle in his hand now, of course. He goes to his turn. Kirby plays an Underground Sea. He casts Thassa's Oracle, triggering her. In response, he also casts the Demonic Consultation. David passes priority to Baal and... Baal casts Force of Will, exiling an Impulse, saving this match and becoming our newest holder of the Man of the People title. Kirby only has 12 cards in his library now. He resolves the Oracle trigger, but otherwise might still have tools in his deck to win, namely something like a Snapcaster Mage. Oracle enters tapped because of the Blind Obedience, and Kirby passes to David. David plays a basic plains and casts land tax, paying for the Extort trigger, to which I respond by cracking my fetch for a Bayou. He follows the land tax with a Weather Wayfarer and he passes to Baal. Baal draws and plays an Exotic Orchard. He then casts a tapped Kalamax, having only one card in hand. We all wonder about it, but otherwise I go to my turn. I once again attack DementedKirby after considering attacking Baal. I draw a card from the Infiltrator. On my second main phase, I cast Gyre Sage, which comes into play tapped. I then play a Gaia's Cradle and cast a Phantasmal Image. Although it could copy the Ingenious Infiltrator, Kalamax also feels like a nice body to copy. Gyre Sage triggers, getting a +1/+1 counter from Evolve. With that, I pass to DementedKirby. Kirby starts by playing an Ancient Tomb. He attacks me with the Oracle, and after seeing him exile 2 ninjas to the Tainted Pact, we assume he might have another. Instead, he flashes in an Ophidian Eye, drawing a card while hitting me for 1. He plays an Elvish Mystic, tapped, before passing to David. On his upkeep, David uses the land tax to take 3 swamps out of his library. He then activates his Wayfarer to search his library for an Ancient Tomb, which he plays. He casts his Lurrus, losing 2 life to the tomb, and begins his long-dreamed plan of casting Urza's Bauble again and again. He passes to Baal. Baal draws a card and passes, not attacking with Kalamax. He would rather have a blocker and not bluff going infinite with a fork so he's less focused. We all wonder about this though, but otherwise I get to playing. I once again start by attacking DementedKirby with my ninja to draw a card. On my second main phase, I play a forest and cast Gyruda, triggering it, and the Gyre Sage. Only Gildedrake is a visible target, although I did mill out a Spellseeker from Baal and an Hellish Norn from David. I reanimate the Drake, while considering whether to steal the Kalamax or the Lurrus. However, since I milled the Dance of the Dead, I choose to take the Cat Nightmare instead. Cats can be finicky anyway. With Lurrus on my side, I recast the Dance of the Dead, targeting the Hellish Norn that David just milled. This triggers Gyre Sage, while taking out Kirby's Elvish Mystic and David's Weather Wayfarer. With that, I go to my end step, and DementedKirby casts a Mystical Tutor to check what he still has left in his library. He settles for a Swan Song, which forces Baal to tap his Kalamax and cast a Chord of Calling for 2, copying it and giving his Dinosaur Boy a +1/+1 counter. He seems annoyed by the Spellseeker being taken out, and sets himself with the task of dealing with Hellish Norn by getting a Gilded Drake followed by a Corridor Monitor, which untaps the Grand Cenobite. We're not sure what he's getting at yet though. With that, it's DementedKirby's turn, and he is now at 6 cards in his library, which might not be a good position for him. He plays a Yavimaya Coast and simply goes to his end step, ready to police us. David takes this time to crack the Urza's Bauble, looking at Baal's last card in hand and seeing a Birthing Pod. We go to David's upkeep, and he once more draws a card from the Bauble. He follows it up by playing one of the basic swamps in his hand and casting Path to Exile on his own Hellish Norn. Cruel. Baal isn't too happy about it, but still searches his library for an island. Afterwards, David recasts his Lurrus from his command zone. However, seeing as he already cast this turn's non-creature spell, David is sad to realize he can't play with his Bauble for the 3rd time as he passes. Baal draws and plays a Taiga. He attempts to cast Birthing Pod, which, albeit entering tapped with Blind Obedience, is still a menace considering he can sacrifice Kalamax for Ukkima Jiki to win. However, DementedKirby can't in good conscience let the pod resolve, thus casting Mana Drain and leaving Baal with 0 cards in his hand. Baal goes to combat, attacking me. I take 5 commander damage but otherwise get to playing. At this point, I'm mostly unable to win because of the lack of blue mana on my side of the table. I go to combat and pressure Baal because I can't really safely pressure David without losing resources, and I want Baal to play more defensively with his commander. Baal blocks the ninja, so I can't draw a card. On my second main phase, I try to move towards winning by casting Wall of Stolen Identity, which enters the battlefield tapped and as a copy of Gyruda. It triggers and gets sacrificed, most notably milling a Lenin Relic Warder on David's side, which isn't a good omen. Still, I choose to reanimate a stunt double rather than the Warden just to dig a little bit deeper. In the process, Gyre Sage also triggers, becoming a larger creature. The stunt double enters the battlefield as another copy of Gyruda, triggering and getting sacrificed to the legendary rule. DementedKirby mills the last cards of his library, effectively dying a hero, whereas David mills an animate dead, making his Lurrus a threat. I find an evil tween, which I reanimate. Gyre Sage triggers one last time. Then, the tween enters the battlefield as a Gilded Drake, and since I'm in a gifting mood, I give him to David for his Lurrus. All fair. I think for a bit on Kirby's Swan Song. In the end, instead of casting the Dance of the Dead in my graveyard to get a bird token, I cast Otrimi on Lurrus to make him harder to remove and get a stronger blocker and life source, while also tapping Gyre Sage to cast a Felwar Stone for more blue mana. With that, my turn ends. It is now DementedKirby's turn and, having no cards in his library as he goes to his draw step, he loses the game decked out. He put up a great fight nonetheless. Going to his turn, David plays a second basic Swamp. He proceeds to pass with 7 cards in hand. His Lurrus that vital for him to play? Baal draws for turn and unfortunately it's a Bloodstained Mire, which he puts into play to defuse my next attack. He is then forced to pass to me. I start my turn by casting Dance of the Dead with Lurrus, targeting my stunt double. It enters the battlefield as a copy of Gyruda, and that's my non-creature spell for turn, so in response, David plays Ad Nauseam. He most notably draws Lion's Eye Diamond, Aven Mind Sensor, Enlightened Tutor, Zulaport Cutthroat, and a Dance of the Dead. With Zulaport Cutthroat and Dance of the Dead, plus the Lenin Relic Warder in his graveyard, David has the potential to win during his next turn. We all mill for the Gyruda stunt double trigger, and the only viable reanimation target is David's Selfless Spirit, which I mistake for Remorseful Cleric. This makes me think I have a solution for David's win con in my board. I take the Spirit, then I cast a clone from my hand for yet another Gyruda. This time around I find a Deadeye Navigator and a Bramble Sovereign. I choose the latter just because I keep getting flooded with green mana and nothing to do with it, and this guy can give me a second Gyruda with each clone. I am now set to win next turn, so I go to combat. I attack David just with the Kalamax clone. My idea is that if he double blocks, I gain access to either Phantasmal Image and Gilded Drake next turn, thanks to Lurrus. David, however, simply takes the damage. On his potentially winning turn, David casts Zulaport Cutthroat. He follows it up with a Swamp and a Dance of the Dead, targeting his Lenin Relic Warder. I reread the Spirit as Baal tells me it is not the one I thought it was. However, I had still kept a mana drain in my hand just in case and use it to counter the Dance of the Dead. David simply goes to his cleanup step too low to attack properly. He discards until there's only 7 cards in his hand and it's Baal's turn. He does not attack or cast anything, instead passing to me. At the end of his turn, David flashes in an Aven Mind Sensor to try and make things harder for me. Baal cracks his Bloodstained Mire for his Rogrim Triumph. I play a City of Brass. I go to combat. I attack David with the Gilded Drake, Ingenious Infiltrator, and the Kalamax clone, while the Lurrus Otrimi attacks Baal. I have the Spirit in case I need to protect any important cards from combat damage. Baal takes the damage while David blocks my Ingenious Infiltrator with my Gilded Drake and trades the Evil Twin Drake for my Kalamax clone. Zulaport Cutthroat triggers once. On my second main phase, I'm ready to win. I play a Dance of the Dead on clone. It resolves. I use it to copy Gyruda, triggering Bramble Sovereign and tap the Gyre Sage for mana, putting a clone token on the battlefield. This clone also copies Gyruda, triggering the ETB. David mills a Razakath, which I proceed to steal, momentarily forgetting the Mind Sensor. Gyre Sage triggers from Razakath, gaining another +1/+1 counter. Now, I resolve the second Gyruda clone trigger on the stack. I don't hit a clone, although I hit a Linvala from David, which I reanimate to the trigger. I cast Sakashima the Imposter, copying Gyruda, while triggering the Bramble Sovereign. I pay to copy Sakashima, creating a second Sakashima Gyruda, which dies to the legend rule but still gets me the trigger. I mill and reanimate an Altered Ego, which enters as a copy of Gyruda, and I pay to copy it with Bramble Sovereign, which then dies to the legendary rule as well. At this point, everyone is wondering if I have problems with Solitude, considering I just keep cloning my companion. I mill a Narcomoeba and a Trench Gorger. The Narcomoeba is put into play for its own trigger, and I reanimate the Trench Gorger, exiling the last 12 land cards from my library and further decreasing the odds of fizzling. We mill and I get myself a Gigantoplasm, which once again adds 2 more Gyrudas to the table. I immediately find a clever impersonator, and at this point there is no way I can fizzle. I consider milling my opponents just in case Baal has interaction to stop me, but he reveals he only has Frantic Search, so instead they allow me to shortcut the Gyruda triggers and mill myself in order to play Thassa's Oracle from my hand and win the game. Thanks for following us through this match, everyone. I hope you enjoyed seeing a bit more of what the new Ikoria commanders can do. We'd like to start the credits by thanking our current patrons, and especially Izanagi, Carneiro, Troy, Stefan, TJ Rapp, Mike Purr, and Ajimo, our stack breakers. If you want to support us, you can do so by liking this video, subscribing, or becoming a patron yourself. We'd also like to thank DementedKirby from the Commander Tavern for his gracious suggestion to play some games with us. We've had a lot of fun meeting and playing with you. If you want to go through other Commander adventures, click one of the videos on the right. If you want to talk with us about our games or other EDH related matters, join us on Discord. Come join us again next week for a new set of Commanders and more decisive plays. See you then.